Hi everyone, I'm JD. Welcome back to my channel. So this is part 3 showing how I make this journal for the Scrap Embellished Journal Challenge. Part 1 was making the cover and part 2 was cutting the pages and unfolding them to make more interesting pages, since the idea with this challenge is to only use blank pages. The idea being that the embellishments will be the standout star of the show. And then in this video I'll share how I arrange the pages. So first of all, I separate them into piles, and the first pile is this set of the full-size blank pages, and I'm just kind of alternating them between dark and light versus the ones that have a doily pattern versus the ones that have an envelope pattern. And when I say envelope, they're the ones that have the really angular square looking pattern on it. I got that effect by laying envelopes between my layers of coffee dyed paper, and so you get these kind of, I don't know, darker lines and lighter lines where the envelope was lying on the paper. And sometimes the lines go vertical, sometimes horizontal, and then there's these more splodgy kind of papers. So all different papers with different effects there. I'm just pulling aside that one that had the fold in it because that's a different paper. Alright, so there's all my blank ones, and I'm just, as I flip through them I can see each page looks a bit different to the one before. They've got a different pattern on it, a different design, or a different weight of coffee dye on it. So then I grab the rest of my pages and I'm just pulling out the ones that have the flap on it. So there's those two ones there that I've pulled aside. Then there's these little ones that have a flap. And what I do is two of them I'll put so that the flap is on the left hand side, and two of them I'll put so that the flap is on the right hand side, so that when you go through the journal they're balanced. And then the other ones are just either the narrow pages or the shorter pages, and there's also the pocket pages in there. So now I'm just going to flip through and place my flap pages, and just alternating between one on the left side, one on the right side, and then I go again, one on the left and then one on the right. Oh no, I think I actually alternate the size of the pages instead. So, oh no, here's my pocket page, I think. So sorry, it's hard to see as I'm doing this voiceover. There's a bit that covers the screen, so I can't actually see what I'm doing on the bottom half of the screen, so I couldn't see the pocket. But yeah, basically I'm just going through and putting in either a flap page or a pocket page and alternating it as much as possible so that you get a flap, a pocket, a flap, a pocket, a flap, that kind of thing. Or flap, flap, pocket, flap, flap, pocket, or something like that. The idea just is so that all of those interesting pages aren't together, like right next to each other, which you could definitely do. I've seen plenty of other junk journalists, they put all the interesting pages together and then they have a run-on of lots of the blank, and that's awesome too. I love that look, but for me I kind of like interspersing everything evenly. And now I've got the narrower pages and the ones that are kind of shorter. And this is now when I can overlap some of those interesting pages to get the layers. So if I have a shorter page and then a narrow page, you can get that layered effect where there's a full-size page on one side and then the shorter page and then the narrow page and then another full-size page. So when you open to that page spread, you'll see 4 different pages, which has a really lovely effect. So every now and then I'll do that. Just to give it more of that interest and the layers. And you'll be able to see me just kind of working my way through, adding them where I think they should be added, and I'll let the journal kind of breathe a bit in between those layered the layered parts. So I'll have a run-on of the blank full-size pages and then go a bit more crazy with the layering. Yeah, so I kind of like having 2 blank side pages or blank full-size pages next to each other, and then breaking it up with the interesting pages. Again, what I call the interesting pages are the ones that are different, either a flap or a pocket or a different size. But yeah, I'm not sure if that makes any sense to anyone else, but in my head it all makes sense. Let me know how you like to put your pages together, arrange them. Am I the only one who kind of has this system? I'm not sure. I know lots of people just kind of do random and whatever, however it appears. But yeah, I tend to have a ratio of at least 2 blank next to each other, and then some interesting together, and then 2 blank together, and then maybe 1 page separate, like an interesting, and then 2 again, and then a whole bunch of interesting, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense, but as long as I know what I'm doing right while I'm going through this. But yeah, I'll be interested to know how you arrange your pages, if you have a method or a system, or if you just kind of go however it turns out. And constantly I always do flip back and just see what I've done and see how things are looking, so I know where to place the extra pages. And I'm always looking at how the coffee dye is looking next to each other, trying to balance the dark with the light and a medium, or a pattern. If it's the same color tone, I try to at least have a different pattern on the 2 pages next to each other. Again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if they're all the same, having 2 the same next to each other, that's totally fine. But this is just my way of adding a bit more interest as you flip through the page. I love the idea that you can flip to a page and every page spread looks different to the one before. And that is my set of pages, and I'll do a final little flip through to show you how it looks. And yeah, I think the video will end after I do the flip through, and I'll be back finally to share some ways that I use scraps to make embellishments. I'll just grab my scrap boxes out, my fabric and my papers, and we're just going to have a play and we'll see what happens. Hope this is a fun series for you guys. It's been so fun seeing all of your journals that you guys are making for the challenge. If you're joining in, feel free to share what you make on the Willowbound Journals Facebook group page. I'll link it all below, or tag me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!